That's right, it's my third Ask Whisper. Now no one has asked for any shoutouts, which is fine. All you have to do is in the comments below ask for a shoutout and I'll grant it. So let's get straight to the questions. You guys remember my cousin Jo, right? Well, she provided us with our first two questions. Question 1 is, drinking and driving is illegal. Why do bars have parking lots? And I've come up with a very simple answer for this one. In fact, it's 2 words. Designated driver. And that's basically when you go out with a group of friends, one of them drives you home, and then the other people in the group, or you, can drink as much as they want, which is both good and bad. The good thing is, the person who's the designated driver can't drink, which is both good and bad. Unless you don't like to drink, then you will be the perfect designated driver. In fact, that's my advice for you guys. If you guys do drink, which I'm not saying it's bad, I'm not saying it's good, I'm just saying if you do drink, please bring a designated driver. It will make life so much easier. Question 2. When you're driving through a neighborhood looking through an address, how come you turn down the music? And this is another simple answer. Concentration. See, when the music's up loud, you could get distracted and you could start singing along, or you could start dancing along, or even not like the song, so you'd be flipping through the channels and still driving. Well, it can get kind of annoying or aggravating when you are flipping through the channels or dancing or singing and you realize that you passed the house. So you gotta find a place to turn around and continue looking for that house. Now, it's even more aggravating is if you're dancing, singing, or changing the tunes and you pass the house and you keep singing and dancing after you find a song you like and you don't realize you passed it. Then that's even more aggravating because once you do, you're like miles or you're like a few houses down, and that's kind of annoying. My third question comes from Becca Q, and she asks, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be and why? And I think it would be Ireland, because 1, I'm Irish, so it seems only appropriate that I would want to go. 2, I've always wanted to fly overseas, or sail over them. Go across the seas. Let's go with that. So, Ireland is across the sea, since I live in America. And also, when I was a little kid, my parents went there with a few other family members. And seeing as how I was a little kid, and I had school and everything, I couldn't go with them. So when they came back, they brought us presents and talked about it. In fact, they really couldn't stop talking about it, and they told me how much fun it was and how they couldn't wait to go back, and I've always wanted to go ever since then. My next question comes from Danny, the Darkness Knight 51, and he asks if I've read any of the new Rick Riordan, at least I hope that's how you're pronouncing his last name, Rick Riordan series, and if so, which ones do I like? I actually have not read any. The only series that I've read by him is the Percy Jackson series. And in fact, I have it right here. Now, I don't have the second one, but the first one, third one, fourth one, and fifth one. The first one is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. The second one is Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. The third one, Titan's Curse. Percy Jackson and the Titan's Curse. And the fourth one is Battle of the Labyrinth. And, of course, the fifth one is The Last Olympian. Now, these books are about a boy named Percy Jackson, obvious from the title, and it's basically a modernized ancient Greek book. So I'm going to read you the back, and if you want to read the series, I'm pretty sure you can find them in your local library, bookstore, probably your school library, basically anywhere that books are sold. And in fact, I think there's ebooks. So here we go. Dear Immortal Reader, I have sworn upon the River of Styx that the events in this book are purely fictional. There is no such 12-year-old boy as Percy Jackson. The Greek gods are nothing more than old myths. They certainly never had children with mortals in the 21st century, nor is there any place such as Camp Half-Blood, a summer camp for demigods on eastern Long Island, where I train young heroes to survive against the monstrous enemies. Percy never met a satyr or a daughter of Athena. The most epithetical did not embark on a quest together across the United States to reach the gates of the underworld and prevent a catastrophic war between the gods. Having said this, I warn you to think carefully before starting this book. If you feel anything stirring within you as you read, if you begin to suspect that this story may be describing something about your life, stop reading immediately. I cannot be held responsible for the consequences. May the gods of Olympus, who of course do not exist, watch over you. Yours sincerely, Chiron Kentravos. Immortal Trainer of Heroes, Activities Director, Camp Half-Blood, Breeder of Laurels, Olympian Council. So, I highly recommend this series, and if you don't want to read it, or you're not into Greek gods, then that's perfectly fine. Patrick from Theater for Nothing asks, what 6 Pokemon did you usually have on your roster? And that would be Squirtle, because I'd always start with Squirtle, either that or Charmander. Beedrill, because he was my favorite bug. Ponyta, because she was my favorite fire type. Pikachu, because that's everyone's favorite. Kadabra, because he's always been my favorite ever since that episode with Ash. Ash versus Sabrina. And he used a Haunter, which is another one of my favorites. And I think that was the same episode where Sabrina turned Ash, Misty, and Brock into dolls along with her parents. I don't know. Someone check that up for me. But yeah, that's why I like Kadabra, and then Haunter because of the same episode. In fact, Haunter is my favorite, has been my favorite ghost till this day. In fact, Darkness Knight 51, the person that I just answered, I made a video for him about, I think, like a few months ago. And he asked me to make a video, and I didn't know really what to do. So I did a questionnaire where I did my favorite ghost and my favorite ice. And the video is right here. My next question comes from Becca Snowflake, and she asks, what is my favorite Harry Potter book and movie? And if they are the same, then what would I change? Well, they are actually different. My favorite book would have to be the last one, and that's because I've read it multiple times and I've actually understood it. Like some of the other books, I think the 5th one especially. I've read over the 5th one, and there were actually some parts in there where I had to reread it, or once I was done reading it, I didn't understand. So I had to reread it again until I did, and it was kind of frustrating. Plus, I was like young, so I really was kind of a bad reader when I was little. But yeah, so that's my favorite book, the 7th one. And my favorite movie would have to be The Prisoner of Azkaban. And that's because also when I was little, I used to be a freak about that movie. Like, I would know, I read the book, if the 7th book wasn't created, then that book would have to be my second best. And when I watched the movie, I know it word for word, or at least I did. And in Harry Potter Seen It, I got every question right before everyone else. Well, that's it for Ask Whisper number 3. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, add it to your favorites, like it or add it to your favorites. Comment below a question if you had one. And also, if you want a shout out, let me know below also. If you haven't already, subscribe. And as a side note, what I'm going to try to do for the Ask Whispers is try to do it every week on the weekend. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.